Okay, we are now live.
Thank you. We will call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that the County of Haliburton is located on Treaty 20 Mishi-Saugig territory and in the traditional territory of the Mishi-Saugig and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. We acknowledge the shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original inhabitants as stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Good evening and welcome to the County of Haliburton's Land Division Committee. My name is Liz Danielson and I'll be your chairperson for tonight's hearing. I'd like to introduce you to the other members of the committee. Tammy McKelvey, Councillor at Large for Minden Hills. Pat Kennedy, Public Member for Dysart et al. Bob Snyder, Public Member representing Highlands East. And Bill Donald, a Public Member representing Algonquin Highlands. We are joined by our Director of Planning, Steve Stone, our planner, Adam Kozlowski, and our official Land Division Secretary, Alana Lacey. This meeting is held through remote electronic participation in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. The purpose of the hearing is to give each applicant or their authorized agent the opportunity to discuss their application with the committee and to respond to written submissions which may have been received. It's also an opportunity for committee members to broaden their understanding of each application by asking questions. Members of the public who are participating virtually today may also make oral submissions to the committee, whether in support of or opposition to an application. We will hear the applications in the same order as they were received in our office. We will introduce each application and our planners will provide planning briefs. Then participants who have registered to address the committee will be admitted virtually to speak with the committee, and each participant will be provided 5 minutes to speak to the committee. With that, we will now proceed with the agenda for this evening. Could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Members Snyder and McKelvey.
Be it resolved that the December 11th, 2023 Land Division Committee agenda be hereby approved.
All in favor? That's carried. And could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of the November the 13th meeting? Members Kennedy and Donald.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the Land Division Committee meeting held November 13th, 2023 be approved as printed and circulated.
All in favor? That's carried. So we'll move into our applications for consent. The first one being Litz for a lot addition in Minden Hills.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll share screen and walk committee briefly through this application. And I trust everyone can see the key map.
Yep.
Okay. Subject properties, it's two shoreline lots on Gull Lake, excuse me, in the township of Minden Hills. And the grant lands are 1029 Statesman Drive. And what will happen is this property has a bit of a irregular shape. It's got a broken frontage on the shoreline. And what this application will do is convey this sliver here over to 1027 Statesman Drive. In speaking with the applicant, this land really has no use for the subject lands at 1029. The cottage is over here on the west side. And so what it'll do is give this property here at 1027 a little bit more room and a little bit of a buffer to the neighbor on the one side. So Minden Hills has endorsed this application. We did not receive any correspondence resulting from the circulation. Staff recommend approval subject to the conditions in the report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions committee may have. Thank you.
So do the committee members have any questions for Adam? Hearing none, I understand that the applicant was going to be present via Zoom or telephone, possibly.
Yes, Mr. Litz is in attendance over phone call, so he is being moved over right now. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Litz. Is there anything that you wish to add for the committee's information?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Is there anything that I believe you've heard what our planner has said. Is there anything that you would like to add?
No, that's quite fine. It's okay the way you said it.
Okay. Well, if there are no questions by the committee, could I have a mover and a seconder then to grant provisional approval to the application? Members Kennedy and McKelvey.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to application for consent H-04623 Litz, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H-04623 Litz, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report. Member McKelvey?
Yes.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
And Chair Danielson?
Yes,
Thank you.
that's carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Litz.
Thank you.
The next application is by Brazel for a new right-of-way on Kawagama Lake in Dysart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll share screen again and walk committee through the application. And everybody should see a map. Okay, the subject application is on the north shore of Kawagama Lake, right at the far east end. And what the application tonight will do is fill in a gap in the chain, so to speak, in terms of rights of way. So the granting lands owned by Brazel are outlined in green, and the two benefiting lots to the west, this property here, there is a cottage down at the water, and then this large property, it's much larger than this. I just zoomed in so committee could see the development. There is a cottage down here, and these cottages all use an existing private road, and there are rights of way currently across all of these properties except for Brazel. So currently the properties, the two benefiting lots don't have legal right of way over this road. And what this application will do tonight is remedy the situation, and these two cottages will then be able to have legal access over Brazel to get out to Bear Lake Road. We circulated to agencies. There were no concerns, no comments were received. Dysart has endorsed the application, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I believe Sue Harrison, agent for the applicant, is also here.
Questions for the committee, Member Snyder.
Thank you. Adam, there appears to be 2 or 3 other lots along the shoreline. It looks like at least one of them has a structure on it. Do they have right-of-ways, or are they without right-of-ways?
Through you, Madam Chair. So those 3 properties that are kind of sandwiched in between, those are all water access lots.
Okay, thank you.
It's kind of unfortunate that they couldn't have been allowed road access at the same time. Other questions? Is Ms. Harrison present?
Oh, there we go.
Good evening. Is there anything you'd like to add to the report that Adam has given us?
Yes, good evening, through you, Chair Danielson. I think he's done a thorough job explaining. It's a fairly straightforward application. As he said, it will make the link that is missing in this right-of-way. Years ago when this was done, the Brazils were on board, and in the 11th hour decided not to include their portion. And more recently, they've come to realize that it's a good thing to do. And so that's what this application is about. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the committee members? Hearing none, then could I have a mover and a seconder to grant provisional approval for the application for consent? Members Snyder and Donald.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to the application for consent H-04723 Brazil, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H-04723 Brazil, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member McKelvey.
Yes.
Member Snyder.
Yes.
Member Kennedy.
Yes.
Member Donald.
Yes.
Chair Danielson.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's carried. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sue.
Good night.
Good night. Is there any other business to discuss at this time? Mr. Kozlowski.
Yes, just through you, Madam Chair, to the excuse me, the rest of the committee. So resulting from last month's refusal, we did receive an appeal to the Aubrey application on Mountain Lake. So we're in the process of preparing the appeal package to send down to Bay Street. We'll find out in the next few weeks. They'll acknowledge receipt of the package, and then at some point they'll announce a date for a hearing.
So would he have appealed at both the lower and upper tier levels?
He appealed Land Division Committee's decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other business? Go
uh,
ahead.
Liz, one question. Adam, will that hearing be held in the county or down in Toronto?
Through you, Madam Chair, it's hard to say right now because we're transitioning out of COVID. The last hearing I did a year and a half ago, it was all done through Zoom, which is great because you don't have to drive. I would imagine if they do decide to hold it in person, it would probably be held here, as this is the approval authority. Yep.
Okay.
I suspect though it'll be held virtually. We just had a case management conference this morning on another appeal, and it was all done remotely. So
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you. Now you've got my interest peaked. Is it appropriate for us to watch? Or is it not?
Are we
Sorry. Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to committee. So I've watched appeals, and what you do is you contact the tribunal and you ask for access to the Zoom link, basically. So you can be an observer.
It's generally
let
a
us
public
know how to do that?
hearing. It's
Sorry.
generally a public hearing.
Yes, they are. Like if they were being held in person, anybody from the public could attend and watch.
Right.
It's just getting the Zoom link is a little bit tricky. There's an email address that you send to, and then they forward you the various link instructions.
So
But
when we know when the date is, you would let us know. And
Yeah.
give us that contact information.
yeah, what I'll do is I'll ask the OLT case coordinator to send me the public link to the meeting or to the hearing, and then I can distribute that to committee members.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Tammy, you had a question?
When I watched an OLT hearing for Minden Hills, I was able to get the public link through our lawyer, actually, or through our staff. So it was quite easy once that. So if Adam can send us that part of it, and then you just go on and you're just watching. You're not participating.
Yeah, it would be an interesting one to watch, though.
Yes, will be.
Okay, so if there's no further business, our next meeting is on January the 8th. And just a reminder, it's at 1 o'clock. Tammy's happy about that.
This is way into my bedtime hours now.
Well, especially when you got a cold and you don't feel that great. It's-
Well, yeah, especially when you look after a 2-year-old during the day.
Oh, God. Okay, so could I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting? Members Kennedy and Donald, thank you. All in favor? That's carried.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Christmas.
Thanks to
Merry
you
Christmas.
all and the
Thank
best of luck.
you. Same to everybody else.
Have a good night.
Have a
Good
great
night.
night. Thank
Good
you.
night.